computer. Perfect. All right, so we're recording. We are live. What's going on, everybody? This is David Greenspan, and you are either watching us live, maybe you're watching the recording, #recording, or you're listening to this on the Mindshare podcast, a proud member of the Industry Syndicate Media Network. Additional podcasts are available at theindustrysyndicate.com and mindshare101.com. This week's episode is sponsored by Kit's Keep in Touch Systems. This is episode 19. So since the age of 8, she began to develop a love for marketing and advertising, in addition to real estate. Over the years, the entrepreneur spirit continued to grow as she worked towards building strong relationships and connections with everyone she met. After an extensive career in the corporate world, along with IT startups, her love for social media, connecting people, and building long-lasting relationships resulted in her growing a successful real estate business. And now, extending into the social media world, helping other agents and small businesses find their success in this space. She has a great energy, an optimistic mindset. She is amazing people, and I am absolutely excited to introduce Alysha McLean to the Mindshare podcast today. Alysha, thank you for making the time this morning.
Awesome. Thanks, David. I'm super excited to be here. It's a real pleasure. So thanks. I really do appreciate it.
Well, I know we talked about this a while back, and it was like one of those where I'm like, oh my God, we got to connect for one of these things for sure. Every time we get together, like every time we see each other, it's always like this like high energy, like, yeah, go on, whatever. And there's always like such a like-minded thinking. So this should be a wicked episode for anybody watching. Buckle up, hold it down, because it's going to be a lot of fun over the next sort of 40-ish minutes. And you know that if you are listening to the Mindshare podcast, and you have listened to the Mindshare podcast, 40 minutes goes by real quick because we always have wicked guests. So that being said, Alysha, my big goal with the Mindshare podcast is always to, help people walk away learning how to build a little bit more mindshare. And one thing that you really bring to the table is a lot of that. I know, again, from the day that I met you, I remembered you. I knew who you were. We connected on social. Like it was easy. And I think that is a big deal around this whole social world and why people are doing, why people should be leveraging this stuff, right?
Ooh, yeah.
For starters, you used to be, and I want to give like a quick little background based on the bio we just provided to people. You were in the corporate world in IT. Was this sales or was this like technology? What was sort of the thing around that?
Yeah, so it was actually two things. So I was in IT before IT was a cool thing. So not giving away my age or anything, but it was in the late 90s is when I first started, which was awesome. And then from there, had an amazing career doing all sorts of things. Ended up in corporate, and I was the director of operations for North America. So it really gave me a really great business sense, which was great on how to build out teams and get your message out there. But in addition to all of that, it tied in with my love for marketing and advertising. And then I got into another IT company, more local, which gave me that social media edge and really plunked me into the day-to-day social media. And that was on a little app called Garage Sale. So it's a big buy and sell.
Did you tell me about that, or did I hear about that somewhere else before?
I'm not sure. I might have mentioned it. It was an integral piece of it. It's how I took my social, love as just a regular person sitting in their office job, which I'm sure so many people have done, and cruised Facebook back in the day and figured, how do I incorporate this piece into my life and give me joy? Because that's really what it did. So long and short of it, as I ended my corporate career, because I was just tired of the travel and corporate, I'm sure most have felt that way, getting into an IT startup was really cool. It made you feel a little young again, but it also gave me the open door to be able to really understand the world of social media and how to interact and engage with people, build really lifelong relationships from it, and really hone in on this amazing tool that we've been given. And instead of just showing people our parties and our fun life, I knew that there was a need to be able to grow business on it. So that's kind of where I've come from it. And because of being a realtor, it was a perfect segue to be able to have access to a great pool of resources and connections that were already made. So it was a natural flow to get into real estate and team that up with my social media. And
real estate is definitely a different business than corporate IT, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
and go ahead.
No, I was going to say, you're always out there with people. You're always meeting new people. There's always different, exciting things to do rather than sort of like what you said, that corporate, like desk job world, which is just boring.
Exactly.
Thanks, corporate people.
Yeah, you punch a clock, you go in, I've got FaceTime, I've shown my face, but I sit here on social and I'm doing all my other things. So real estate really gets you out in front of everybody, and social just teams that up on a different avenue, which is perfect.
So tell me this then. You said, I think you told me that your mom was in real estate at a point. So you grew up in this business. And I got to tell you, my father was in business for the first 23 years. That's how I got into the world that I'm in now, in this wonderful world of real estate, doing marketing and stuff and building mindshare. But I remember running around in the car, going from open house to open houses, showies to showies. I remember the black and white MLS tear sheets. I remember the sandwich boards piled up in the garage at home with all the sold signs. I can remember it all. You know, was that kind of like a similar thing? Is that how you sort of stepped right into this world?
The tear sheets before the MLS online.
Right.
Yeah, and you watch your parent. My mom's been in it 35 years. I love her business. I respect her business so much. She was a huge influence in that, and I really aspired. Like watching back in the day, grow your own business without social media.
That's how so funny what you just said. Look at this mug I have. Grow your business.
Yeah, grow your business. And it's bringing your kids out. You got to take them in tow sometimes, but you show them hard work and ethics and what it takes to be an entrepreneur and build your own business, and a successful business at that. So I totally remember doing that, clipboard, you be the realtor today, because we have to do a showing and mom's got to work.
So here, how long have you officially been licensed selling real estate? Because we know that you've been selling now for 20 years or something, right? Yeah. It started as a little girl.
Exactly.
How long have you been actually selling or licensed and doing that?
I've been licensed just over 3 years, which is great.
Wicked.
And it was a natural progression and industry to get into. So with all of the knowledge of just how fundamentally it works and how to build a business side, that was great. But getting in and being a licensed agent is very different from observing on the sidelines. Even if it's part of your daily conversations, it's very different.
Totally. Now, when it comes to that business, okay, you've been doing it 3 years. And if I go through kind of the history over the past few years here of kind of quickly going, social's been around longer than 3 now. We know, obviously since 06, 07, right? It's been a big thing with Facebook. We look at the real estate market, we know the past number of years, up until maybe our last sort of 18, 24 months was really pumping at a time. So you came in a great spot of the market. But I guess when I look at the 3-year mark, it's almost that part of the market that it started to tail, right? It started to kind of come down and cool a little bit. In that time, where did you see, or even over these past 3 years, and the reason I bring up what the market was doing is because I believe this, 5 years ago, 6 years ago, if you got your license and you got into this business, or if you were in this business, it was almost easy to put a sign in the lawn and the house would sell no matter what you did or did not do. It's just, that's what the market was doing. Now, when we look at this, there's a lot of people, we've seen this, a lot of people have gotten out of the business because they can't hack it. You just said something important there. You said, it's very different actually being licensed and selling than when you're on the sidelines kind of observing, right? Absolutely. I think that a lot of people observed an incredible market and a lot of people took advantage of it. But we're now seeing a lot of these same people that kind of stepped in and did not realize that, hey, social media is wonderful, but it's a lot more than just a Facebook post when you want to make a successful real estate business. I guess my question is around that. Now, as you're doing your stuff, are you still seeing because you got to go in and work for it now, right? Where do you see most of your business come from? Is it people you know? Is it people you don't know? Have you got a really solid mix of that? What's the audience that I guess it's still doing stuff?
Yeah. The market has definitely changed. I think that it was a great first year, and it's been a challenging 2 years in the Toronto area, and that's fair. It's making you get really creative. So I would say most of my business truly has come from social media, which was really where this love and passion has come from. I saw something, back in 2017, explored it a little bit more, 2011, 2012. And then as being a realtor now, I've really honed in and used social media as part of my growth because, you know, I may have gone to school with somebody. It may have been a former colleague. It may have been somebody I met, you know, at the kids', you know, skating class. It doesn't really matter where, but the truth is that when I see everybody, you know what they say to me? I love everything you're posting. I see you everywhere. And that's the mind share that we wanted to create. I've wanted to create this. So I'm not going to go and knock on this person's door. That's just not what I'm about, let alone, I probably don't know where Johnny from high school lives. Yeah. So how else can you connect? And it's by getting out and being social. I get it. But more importantly, that we've been able to tap into our social network. And it's how I've been building my business. It's continuing to create the conversation, to engage with them, to stay top of mind. You know, it's all about them, like their kids' parties, like their posts that they put up, engage, create conversation. And because of that, when we run into each other, or I've had people stop in at my open houses and say, I just wanted to come in. I've seen you everywhere. I knew you were going to be here. I wanted to say hi.
That's so cool. Hey.
It's wonderful. It's like, I won't lie. It feels good. And
makes the hair stand up.
Yeah. And it's really nice because there's a genuine conversation, especially when you get that FaceTime. And when they tell you all the things that they've watched you do, you know, this is just my day. This is what I just do. You post a story, you do this, you do this. But when somebody comes back to you and says, I love everything you're doing. I see you. I share all this stuff. I'm so, you know, impressed with what's efforts have been made, really, because social media is a big undertaking. So that's where most of my business has come from, truthfully. I've tried all sorts of gimmicks like everybody else for sure, but social seems to be the one that I resonate with the most and I've had the most success. And I would say probably between 85 and 90% of my business has come from social media.
Okay, now you just said something key though. You said that you post out there, people see it, and then when they speak to you, maybe on the phone or see you in person, there's now that connection.
That's right.
I tie that back to when you're seeing somebody in person or you are doing the phone call or you are doing the social media post. If you're doing, let's say 2, 3, all 7 of those, you are now supporting one with the other.
Yes.
If you didn't see them in person and make that connection, if you didn't, you know, have that phone call with them and they got to actually, you know, get a real sense of you and your personality, would social have as much impact, or does social still require that next level of the connection point with people? Did that make sense?
Yeah, and I think that makes a lot of sense, and I think it's a really great question. I think it's teamed up, really. Like, you need to be out there. You can't live behind a computer screen forever.
Thank you.
I think that social media is still media. So we just want to enhance the social piece of it, but you still need to go out. You still need to socialize. You need to be at events. You need to be out there. Those people that want to think that you can build an entire business and never leave the comfort of your couch, maybe you can, for sure. I'm not saying it's not possible, but especially as a realtor, it's a face-to-face. It's a people thing. There's so much AI that's coming and that's taking over a lot of different companies. But I think in real estate, more importantly, it's FaceTime. It's a phone call. It's let's go have a coffee. Let's grab a beer. Let's get out and be social. But I think you need to team that up. And then what do we do after we have that coffee? We go back and we get onto Messenger and be like, it was really great to have coffee with you today. And that just continues to tie the two of them together. So it's just an extension of the FaceTime, because our FaceTime is so limited right now that social, you're able to get way more people in a shorter period of time and then allocate that actual FaceTime for business and for genuine, connection. I think that's the piece that's missing. We're also busy.
I know. Yeah. Well, we are, and I say this every week, we are the busiest people in the world.
Yeah.
Right? Absolutely. Nobody's
exactly. Create a time and then marry the two together. So there's a nice balance, right? Between social media.
And like, there's a great point, because what you just said, right? You go and put the post out there and you're consistent about putting it, right? You can't just put one post and expect that things are just going to happen. It's got to be consistency. You've got to become almost like a household name, voice, sound, whatever, to people when they open up their social. Now, when they meet you, it's like, oh my God, I really actually enjoy you. You're a good, cool human being. Yeah. And the cool thing, and I brought this up in Arizona, last week, the week before. I don't remember when I was there anymore. But I brought this up, and it was this whole thing of, you know, when you look at the people you meet, and I mean, I think you and I first met in person, not on social, but in person in Niagara, right?
Yes, we did.
And it was like this thing of like, oh yeah, you know, and now you meet in person, you're like, bang, like she's cool, you know, like there's a real connection there. And now when you get back onto the social thing, it's like when I see you on social, I see you in person, or I see you on social, or vice versa. There's no gap anymore. And you're not having to, hey, how are you? How's everything going? I know what you're up to. I know how it's going. Like, you know, I was making maple syrup this weekend type thing. You know what I'm saying? You don't have, it's like, you know, not what did you do this week? It's like, oh my God, how good was that maple syrup?
That's right.
Bang, the conversation just keeps going. That's the power of social in my mind.
I was just going to say, it really shortens that gap of the small talk in between, where if we only have 30 minutes of actual FaceTime with one another, having the social, being able to see what the family's doing, where you're vacationing, this and that, even if you're not watching that person's feed on a regular basis and they just show up periodically, you're still getting that connection. So when I see you, we can just fly by all the niceties and go right into the deep conversation. And that's amazing. And that's where I love the gap that it's really closing for that purpose. Right? So
that is a awesome point. And so knowing, you know, where your passion lies within the real estate world, within the social media world, I know that you're now starting a new adventure here with your like, you know, you're an entrepreneur. You're going out and you're starting to help other entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, small businesses, realtors, mortgage brokers, loan officers, anybody who's running their own small biz. One commonality that we have found is that a lot of people, as much as they want to be there and they know how to get on Facebook, push most likely, and like scroll, there's a fear around posting. Maybe there's an unknown around posting. Hell, we know content is the biggest problem most people have is like, oh my God, what do I post? Oh, I'm not exciting enough. Oh, I don't know what to put out there. All I'm going to put is my open house and my listings. I mean, we're going to go, well, that's boring as shit. Or some people are only going to put out, let's say, the birthday party or the whatever, the part, but they don't put enough business. Tell me more about this biz that you're starting, and let's share this with our audience, because I know as we tapped into a little bit, I kind of cut you off because you were getting excited about it. I'm like, oh, I love this. Like, she is jacked. And I mean, I tend to, you know, exude a little bit of energy myself when I'm passionate about something, just a little bit. So I totally back that, and I want to know more about that. I want to share that with everybody now. So, like, what's it about? What's going on? Tell us.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you. And so I've been a realtor, and it's been one of these things for a long time. So for many years, just being exposed to it. So here I am as a realtor, really leveraging my social media and really seeing my business start to grow from it and getting response from both colleagues as well as new clients and whatnot. And that's when I started to realize I have a big network. Like, let's call it for what it is. I've worked hard. I've grown it. It's like, it's not overnight, for sure. I want to put that out. It is not an overnight thing where you're like, I'm going to be into social media and tomorrow you're going to be a rock star. It's not going to happen. It takes time and strategy. But what I realized very quickly was I do have a network that I post often to and reach out to. And in return, it started more so from other agents saying, hey, you know, can you come and do an open house at my property? Because they know I'm going to do a video. Right. And with that video, it's going to hit their social media. And they're like, how do you do that? So after teaching and conversation, and like, well, where's your open house? Let me just drop by. We'll do a quick video. We'll post it out. Here's this. Then they're getting some exposure as well, which is helping their business. And then as I start to look really deep inside, I always say there's a difference between happiness and joy. And we all want to be happy, but I want to have joy every day. And that's that moment when you wake up, you're waking up before your alarm and your feet are on the ground. You're like, I can't wait to just tackle today. How do we do it? And that's where this concept has come. And people are like, well, are you not going to sell real estate? Oh gosh, of course I'm going to sell real estate. I love it. It's like marrying my two favorite things into one package. And I think that this, as the journey goes, especially with some of the changes in the real estate market the last 2 years, how do we get content? How do we get social? How do I get clients? I don't really want to make phone calls or knock on doors. So how do I do that without making all the excuses of why I'm not prospecting? Because like prospecting is the biggest part of a realtor's business. and probably the number one thing nobody wants to do. So how do
you know, it's funny. I sort of cut you off there. So I ask people all the time, like, what do you love doing? What do you hate doing? And we know that door knocking and cold calling, like, people hate doing. But we also know when you ask people, like, where do you get a lot of your business from when you're prospecting? And this is like, let's say outside of a social world or outside of like network, door knocking and cold calling. Exactly. No wonder you hate to do it. Nobody likes to do that. Nobody likes being or door knocked. Therefore, most people hate doing it, but I will put it in there right now. And you've seen me do this in front of a few different crowds.
Yeah.
People who door knock make money off of it. That's one thing I'm going to put down there. They do make money. So if you're doing it, anybody listening to this, keep doing it. Be consistent about it, because most people are not doing it.
Exactly. Hey, and why not grab your video and your camera and do a quick little video while you're doing it? Doesn't need to be live. Take a couple, just try it out.
Okay, hold on. To talk to me more about that. So here, we talk about content, right? Yeah. So somebody needs content. They're out there today. They're listening to us now. And the minute that we're done, and they're waiting till we're done, because they wouldn't leave before we're done.
Never.
But they're going to go out and they're going to door knock. They're going to do their cold calls. What could they do right now to create content?
Yeah, exactly that. Get out your video, get out your camera, whatever. If you're not comfortable in front of video, that's okay. Do what's comfortable with you and then add them in. Don't take on the ocean right away. Right. Small little pieces. So like I live in Markham. So if I'm going to go door knocking, maybe I want to go and take a quick video or even a picture of the local community. Welcome to Markham, population, whatever. It doesn't need to be pretty, but then there's something that's tying you back. There's some content. You're walking down the street.
Hold that thought. Is that on my video cam? Like, is that on the video camera on my phone? I'm recording the clip and then I got to edit it? Or are we going stories on Instagram? Are we going Facebook stories? We're going live to Facebook? Like, where would you do that on that which platform?
So my platform of choice is Instagram. Cool, I just think it's a great platform. It's also a platform where you can't automate it. It's the only platform you can't just auto-populate, auto-post, set it and forget it. You have to be there in person on Instagram, whether it's a photo or a live or a story. You have to organically post it. There's no super bot that's going to do it for you. So that's the first thing that I like. It's really you doing it. Yep. So post it. The second thing is stop making excuses for, well, I made the video, but I can't post it because I got to go home and edit it. And I got to color correct it. I got to put on my filters. And now it's 3 days later. And that was a great idea. So I say.
Okay. So you're back at the sign. You've just videoed, let's say you at the sign, and you post it to Instagram right to the feed. Right to it. And on your Instagram wall, right, you got to have some structure, right, and some strategy behind where your social is going to go to. So if on your feed you want to keep it to certain things and this post doesn't apply, well, maybe put it on your Facebook business page. Or maybe go right to story. Story is a brilliant way to be able to capture everything of the day to day without taking away from your storefront, so to speak, on your Instagram. So if you like all your pretty colors and your patterns or whatever you got to do, you go ahead and do it. But then get that up on your stories and make sure you hashtag that to be able to draw more people in. It's all about your viewers. It's all about bringing people in. But at the same time, don't get hung up on, well, only 10 people liked it. That's okay. You probably got 10 more people to like it than your competitor who's, sitting in front of the computer playing Candy Crush. Like, no, right? You're out there and you're doing it. But Candy Crush, it's so valuable for my time. No, sorry.
It is. I'm telling you, it's a good distraction. But that's what it is. It becomes the distraction on the things we don't want to do. So if you're not loving door knocking and making phone calls, team that up with your social media. This is prospecting right here. When you're going into your social, you're posting, you're engaging. If somebody comments, you comment back. If somebody likes something, you like it back. It's social. Get social with it. So That's the biggest key.
So you're at that sign though, and I want to take, because again, you and I talked about this before we went live today, of that. And I apologize to people that listen to me on a regular, and I love you and I thank you for that. But I've said this a lot lately around the fact that a lot of people just don't know where to start, right? So I love where you were going there and I apologize for cutting you off. The idea was, we're about to cold call or door knock or prospect or do something. Your recommendation right off the top, because I was like, what do? You go to the sign, take a picture of the sign. And that's when I said, like, where do you do that? So from there, what else would they do from there to kind of, just, again, share their day or share the experience or share what they're up to. What's the next step? They've taken a photo of the sign. They've posted up to Instagram. They've hashtagged where they're at. What else can they do from even that to kind of keep going with the day?
For sure.
So then that was a great point.
So keep going. So especially when it comes to like an Insta or a Facebook story, that's really where you can catalog the events of your day, because people like to see what you're doing from a business perspective and leave that to your wall. But your story is going to be the real you. They see that, okay, so now I'm having lunch with whoever, or I've popped into this local restaurant or by a park, wherever. Continue to put content out within your local community, and then team that up with hashtags or @. If you walk down your main street and you walk into the floral shop, take a photo of their stuff and then ask them to share it with their social. And this is how we start to network out. So all of a sudden you're door knocking or door knocking is probably easier because you're out there, right?
Yeah, I got you.
It is what it is. You're doing more than anybody else. So embrace that, take some pictures of the crossroad signs. I'm in this neighborhood today, who's looking.
But why does anybody care to see me take a picture of a crossroad sign, right?
Yeah,
we get that question all the time. Why do people care?
Yeah, they don't. They really don't care. But you know what that created? Content.
Yeah, that's it.
Created content. You now created copy, which is in your post, right? So you write your copy, and let's be honest about what we're posting. Don't make it about you. It is all about your client, your consumer, whoever it is. So if we're looking at the crossroad sign or the community sign, we're talking to people within that community, within that the street sections. We're talking to those people. They have a resignation. They can say, oh, that's close to my house. Or
I know where that. Oh my gosh, she's right around the corner.
Right there. I'll tell you a really quick story. Because of all of this posting, no word of a lie, I go to the big toy sale around Christmas time, and I'm there. I had somebody come up, say, can I take your picture? I know you're Alysha McLean, and I would love nothing more than to have my photo with you. And I thought, oh, that's crazy. And it's because I posted that I'm at this big toy sale with my kids. And sure enough, somebody saw it at that same location. That's the power of social media. That's the power of connection, where people recognize you, and it doesn't matter if it's perfect. It doesn't matter if it's just a street sign. It's something content that's talking about where you do business locally. And
okay,
you are now
take that. And I love it. Take that now. So now we've posted, we've shown what we're up to, we've taken random pictures of a crossroad or whatever, and now we're at the toy sale and somebody comes up and says, oh my God, like I've seen you before, or maybe somebody they're not as oh my God gawking, but it's like, oh my, hey Alysha, what's up?
Yeah.
Where do we go from there? Again, let me take this the entire umbrella and go over the small business world, right? So you're a realtor, you're a mortgage broker, loan officer, you're selling cars, insurance. I don't care what you sell. You've got your flower shop, okay? Your small biz. People have seen you. You're doing your stuff. You're active. Where do they go from there? What do you do at that moment when they're wanting to take a selfie with you, or they're just saying hi and they just want to make a few-minute conversation? Where does you go from there?
So from there, we just continue the conversation. We continue to connect. And that's where I think we all drop off. It's really nice that you took that photo, but what did you do to connect back with them? Follow up. Any realtor out there knows. Follow up. 60% of you guys won't do it.
And is that just Alysha, again, is that just follow up on social, or is that, do the phone call or schedule another time to see them, and it could be 3 months down the road? Like
exactly. Whatever works. I think we get all too caught up in, is there a process? Do I have to do this next step? I've got too much going on. It's been 2 months since I've seen you. So if it's been 2 months since we had the photo in the store together, send them a message and be like, hey, how's it going? How was your Christmas? How was this? Find a reason to connect back with them on a social level, because We don't want to be like, hi, it was so nice to see you, David, in the store. Are you looking to buy, sell, invest? No,
Right.
nobody wants that. They don't want a pushy salesperson. They want a friend. They want a relationship.
Right.
And it's slow. It's a long game. It really is a long game. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, well, I'm not looking to move, but you should talk to Alysha because I see her everywhere. She's great. And now from that one connection that's been following you, they tell 5 people because they're seeing what you're doing for other clients. And so we continue to engage the conversation. You can throw them into our CRM. You can see, you know what I'm finding right now? I react right now when I see something you've posted and you come to mind. There's a mind share where just a random person I've seen, hey, how are things? I was just thinking of you. Nothing more than that. Yep. I was just thinking of you. Or if it's been a long time, right? How do you re-engage your COI, right? Why not just randomly say, hey, Sally, I see you all the time in my feed. I know we don't connect often through here, but I just wanted to say I love what you're posting. I hope you're doing well. How are things? Start the conversation and let it organically grow.
It's too easy. I did that the other day. I sent an email to somebody, a friend of mine. She's absolutely awesome. And I was just like, hey, and I went ... just wanted to say, hey. It was like that. Right? And she came back. She goes, hey, stranger, how are you? Big game. This was game 1 of the Leafs the other night. By the way, the Leafs go. One of the series. But it was game 1 of the other night. And she comes back. She goes, oh, you must be so nervous today. Big game tonight, blah, blah, blah. And she started the conversation with me about the Leafs. And I was just literally like, hey, wanted to say, hey. And it's when you do that enough with people and you continue that fun, kind of like lighthearted, like I'm not trying to sell you anything, just literally being me, whatever, people accept you for who you are. And they start to, like you just said, it's that reciprocation. And now there's just an ongoing conversation happening with people.
Exactly.
Long game. And that is, again, what this business or most businesses are all about, right?
That's right.
So
100%.
You sort of helped us figure out, you helped us figure out how do we come up with content, right? From the content perspective, for you yourself, do you do any pre-planning? I'll tell you for myself straight up, and I've said this many times before to people, but everything from, the many pages I admin, the many groups I admin, my public group, my private coaching group, which we're also broadcasting into today, this morning with everybody. All of that, I really have to buckle down at the start of, at the sort of tail end of each month and kind of plan what's going on for the month ahead. And it doesn't mean that sporadic things don't come up. It doesn't mean that I'm not posting randomly whenever I feel like it. It doesn't mean that, my stories are raw. I story like an animal, and I do that, every day, all day, and none of that is scheduled.
Good.
But I know for our podcast, it's like, well, when, what day does it work for both of us? What time of the day does it work for both of us? All that other stuff. So there is some scheduling that I do, and I do create a content calendar. So I've at least got a framework. Do you operate with any type of content calendar? Are you like flying by the seat of your pants? What is your whole take on that kind of? And I know you said with scheduling, like Insta, you can't really schedule on it. We know we've got apps called like Preview where you can kind of load up to like Preview and see what it looks like. And then you still got to take it and share it out there.
That's right.
Facebook, you can do scheduling, but like, how do you normally operate there? Or even suggestion around that content?
Yeah. So I'll be honest, I love content calendars. I think a lot of people do. So I created a couple of different types of content calendars, more so for everybody else, because at least it gives them the framework of the guide of what to do, and then you can edit it, right? But I find I go out every month with great intention of this is what my month's going to look like. This week I'm going to post this, and this week I'm going to post this. And then life happens.
Yep.
And then instead of where I think a lot of people get that feeling of, I'm not good enough, is because they created this content for the next month. Life happened. They got busy. They didn't post a couple days, and they're like, I give up. I'm done. I've already missed the boat. It's done. So I'm not going to do it anymore. No, get back up there. Throw out some random stuff. The raw stuff is great because it shows that you're real. If everything is beautiful and got a pretty bow on it, is it really you that's posting it? Because you can't do that on the fly. But there should be some things that are structured within your content of your social, just so that you have a roadmap. That's the number one key. You got to plan. What is the purpose of your social? Why are you using it? What kind of numbers do you want to achieve? Or is it trackable? There's a business behind it. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
But there's also a big opportunity for on-the-fly random. As a realtor, I can have my day completely planned out. 3 people cancel and somebody calls and says, let me show something. Perfect. I'm off doing something different. So I don't ever want anybody to say, just because my content calendar says this, that's an excuse why you didn't post it. So you got busy today. It's okay. Post it tomorrow. It's all right. Yeah.
So do you schedule to do your social? Like, I mean, you've got a content calendar, so you know what you want to do. Do you put it in a calendar at all as a line item or anything else? Or are you just kind of going?
I just go with it. Okay. I really just go with it. And it's because some mornings, all of a sudden I'll have tons of time in the morning to do things. So I can plan out. I use Canva for a lot of my posts, which is really great because it's got a visual appeal. So you don't want to be just sort of random. So I will create Canva posts usually on a Sunday night. I put a whole bunch of them. And then that way, at least that they're now on my phone. So as I've got time, really, like you're standing at the lineup to get some lunch or whatever, it's a long line. I've got time now to post. It's creating little gaps within time. I also try and set aside every meeting that's an hour to cut it a little bit earlier. So I'm not rushed to the next one because I find we're driving, can't text and drive anymore, not even at the stoplight. So that's really, truthfully, that's impacted my social because
100%.
I've got back to back to back. So when do I do it? And the truth is, it's all me. I don't hire anybody to do my stuff. It's my content. I like it. That's part of me that I like to do. So I try.
And I think it's got to be you. Like I do believe that as well, right? I mean, look, if you're going to have people help you do it, that's one. Definitely, the help is great, and I think that we all learn and leverage from each other every single day, right? You get a new idea, you get a new thought, you go, oh my God, I could share her content, like whatever it is. I also believe though, there is an aspect to that, you know, as much help as you could get from people, there's still got to be a flavor of you within that underlying fabric so that people kind of go, yeah, I get who you are from a business or a personal perspective.
Exactly. There's even in the language that you use, the content that you post, it resonates with you and your personality. And that's what people are drawn to, especially when you're working in a business that's people to people, right? You need to resonate with that person and enjoy them and, you know, really want to do business with them. And that comes from you posting your stuff, the thoughts that go into your head, how it can connect with your clients. And then when you do your post, make sure that it's not always about you. It does give me a little bit of a pet peeve when you go to some people's walls and it's like, me. I'm like, that's great. What about your client? What about the other person? How does it resonate with them? They don't care about you. They care about how you can help them. So get in front of them and have them be your focus point, you know?
Listen, people, nobody wants to see your vanity shot of you staring out into the open, you know, with like whatever in the background. Yeah. What were you doing right there? Like, what was that moment?
Exactly. And you know what I found?
And you're a model now? Like,
it's so true. And I found in the last year, you know, we've all been there, selfie. If you look at my feed, there's very few now. And it's because I've really tried to remove the me out of it, which is kind of a struggle when you're all about social media, you know? Totally, but it's gearing your content then, at least I've put it out, but then every one of my posts now is how does it benefit you as the consumer, you as my colleague? How does it benefit you? If we can serve others, then I feel like ultimately we're all going to win, right?
So do you, with all the amazing stuff you do on social and the way you've built your brand around it, are you spending money on this platform? I mean, is there consistent money being spent? Is it just to maybe boost a few things? And we don't need to get into like the top secret sort of back end details. And I don't want to throw out there how much money, because that's your business. But are you doing any of that? Like, are you finding leverage from that? Or is this more just about the consistency, the organic kind of posting that you find more leverage from?
I'm a big believer of as organic as I can get it. There's always going to be room for paid stuff. So when I've got a listing, when I've got something super exciting, something new launches, whatever, for sure, do a paid, do a boost, whatever the case is. But in the main, I like to keep mine nice and organic and just be able to share, like, follow, comment. And that right there creates local organic business leads, call it whatever you want. I didn't have to pay for any of it. You know, let's be honest, as a solopreneur, an entrepreneur, small business, we don't have massive bank accounts of marketing budget. And that's
wait, what? You mean not everybody's filthy rich?
What?
Yeah.
I know. And I'm just as shocked, you know, I'm sure you and me included. They're like, yo, you must be loaded. Well, no, but you know, at the end of the day, everybody that you see, even if you see a sponsored ad come through, share for sure. There's value to that for sure. But at the end of the day, as a small business, I wanted to really be able to come up with a concept that helps small businesses without having to feel like I'm always reaching into my pocket, having to pay Facebook, pay Instagram, pay whoever to get the leads. And maybe they're good or maybe they're not. If you just work every day on your social media, consistency, and getting out there and commenting and engaging in your social media, it will come organically. The money's still in your pocket. You're now making money. And isn't that the whole point of this? You know,
Drop the mic. I love it. Yeah. That was awesome.
So a time and a place for sure. When I'm working with a listing seller, of course, it's my job to promote them. It's my job to spend money on it. Absolutely. For the day-to-day stuff, it's all organic.
It's got to be, right? Because that's real deal. That's for real stuff. That's not an advertisement. That's not a business coming at you.
No, exactly. And when you're consistent, like if I look at my Instagram, it's somewhere just under 12,000 followers.
You think you could learn something from this girl?
Right? Long game. So it's just consistency and don't beat yourself up. If you miss a day, don't beat yourself up. Keep going. Nobody's going to really notice if you missed a day. Trust me.
And nobody, and I mean, here's the other thing too. I was talking to somebody the other day and we brought that up. I said something. I don't remember exactly how the conversation went, but I was like, well, did you see my video yesterday? And he's like, you could tell he was like reserved. He's like, actually I didn't. And I'm like, exactly. Right. And it wasn't like trying to put him in a spot of like, what do you mean? It was more like, exactly. And I know how many people saw it. I mean, you see your views, and not that you should be measuring that stuff, but you know, anyways, it was a point in hand to that. So then what you're up to now, and I mean, this has been amazing knowledge. What you're up to now then is essentially you're going to help people simplify the process of putting out organic content. You're going to help them make them more comfortable. And really when it comes down to that hard part of content, it's going to be, I guess, that wrap of what I just said with those 2 points. It's like how to come up with more content and easily get it out there. Would I be wrapping what your new adventure is going to be helping other businesses with? Is that kind of wrapped up properly?
Yeah, absolutely. So what I've started at the beginning of this year was like a 4-part series that I've done through webinars. So I'm going to change it up a little bit, same concept, same idea. And it's really to give solopreneurs, small businesses, realtors, the framework that's very easy and manageable, break it all down in 1-hour chunks. There's 4 parts, and it's planning, it's Canva and marketing, and how do you create the beautiful graphics. Let's understand Instagram, and then let's understand Facebook, tie it all together. Cool. And I think if we break that down into something that's very manageable, very realistic, and we're not talking to these big teams where we have hired help to do this and marketing degrees, this just puts it into a very simple platform to say, this is how you do it. Let's just take an hour to invest into your own business and let's learn it through. And then if you need any help, it's very simple. It's not over the top. It's not overly complicated. It's not going to be for the people that watch webinar after webinar after webinar. That's going to be too much for them or not enough for them. But the average person that says, I need to start social because I have a small business and I'm in my town and I don't even know where to start. How do I build a Facebook page? Or maybe I have one, or I have an Instagram, but I don't know what to post. I don't know how. How do you make it look so that it's consistent? And that's where we bring in the calendars and the support so that we can share with them what small business owners are going to be able to do themselves for free to grow their business and just start that social. And that was the biggest aha moment that I've had this past year was, I want to give back. And I have all these realtors that message me, how do you do? Well, let's just frame that up, jump onto this masterclass and let's learn about it. And so that's where the Get Social has come from. It's what I do. It's what I love. And being able to team that up and still be able to do my real estate, to me, it's a no-brainer. And then let's work with other realtors. and then other small businesses, and then let's network. And this is where I get really excited.
Yeah, I can tell.
Because,
I love
you know, I hear about your great ideas. Like, can I come over? Can I pop into your store? I'd love to do a quick little video. I'd love to take some photos. Let's do whatever. Let's promote you. Let's shout it out. And they're like, what? How much is it going to cost me? I'm like, it costs you nothing, but I'm going to ask that you shout out me too. It's a two-way street here. It's not all about you. So if we can create this within our own small communities, our towns, now we all become the experts in the area, the flower shop, the local pub, the skating class, you know, we're all now connected and we're building community. And now we are all at the top of mind. When I think pub, when I think flower shop, when I think, you know, Jamboree Nails or Sensi's, you know, if you look into some of these MLL groups, you know, that's where you're starting to create that top of mind. And that's what you need to be able to do in your social media, in your business. If you don't, somebody else is going to. And then you sit back and like, oh, I should have done it. So yeah. I
like to call that mindshare. And you have been an amazing, amazing guest. We could keep going. I say this a lot. I could keep going. Just because I bring on amazing, amazing people like yourself.
Thank you.
Really quickly before we go, where can people find you? And I mean, if people don't get the fact that they can find you on Insta and they can find you on Facebook and, you know, well, then I don't know what to tell my audience. But no,
that's right.
Where's the best place for people to go to get a little bit more info or just...
Yeah, for sure. So my Insta and Facebook is at Alysha McLean Realtor, ALYSHAMCLEAN Realtor. And then you can also email me, Alysha at AlyshaMcLean.com. So it's pretty easy to reach me. So I welcome anybody. If there's anybody out there that's listening that just wants to understand where the next step is, what is realistic, how do we, you know, get a part of this masterclass, I would be happy to help anybody and just build it out. It's exciting. So
well, I am wicked excited for you. Whatever I can do to help support, you know, you've got that from me. And I encourage everybody, check her out, follow her on Facebook, follow her on Instagram if you're not already, which you probably are. But definitely check her out. She's an awesome, awesome energy. And it has been an absolute pleasure having you on today. So I thank you once again for being here with us today.
Thanks, David. I just love your energy, and it's been a long time, so I'm so excited to be here, and thank you. I really appreciate the opportunity today.
Thank you. Okay, so you're either watching us live, watching the recording, listening to this on iTunes, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify. Maybe you went to theindustrysyndicate.com. Maybe you went to mindshare101.com. Wherever you like to consume your content, please rate, review, subscribe. And if you haven't yet, connect with me on Facebook at Mindshare101 and on Instagram at David Greenspan101. This has been another episode of the Mindshare podcast. Thank you, everybody, for watching and for listening.